I think the easiest problem to at least think about, because it's probably a common problem, especially right now in any organization, at least that's what I've heard as I commiserate with my people in HR, is turnover in entry-level staff.
Yeah,
so we've assumed,
Yeah. I mean, professional staff, not so much, because we are a pretty interesting organization to work for. The professional staff who are qualified for positions here, probably worked at a similar organization, and our schedule's a little bit better, and, so we're appealing that way. But the entry-level staff, the ones that come in with really no necessary education, no training needed, no exposure to people with developmental disabilities at all or other disabilities, it's hard to find out or hard to recruit the people who are going to be the best fit and stick around long term. And it's only natural because they're for the most part, just looking for a job that they might like for a while, that will help pay the bills, and that they meet the qualifications for, and they're general labor. They jump around from different jobs. Some that pay well but have terrible schedules, and some that don't pay well but works with their kids' school. Though indeed, in similar companies are changing the model for job seekers. That has to then change the employer's mindset on how to recruit the right candidate. And the model that they're changing is for applicants or potential job seekers or candidates to just post their resume, update it every once in a while, pay attention to how they're presenting themselves, and then sit back and wait for employers to contact them. They're no longer actively applying for jobs.
Right.
And even when they actively apply for jobs, even if they're looking, they just click a button and don't need to read the job description, don't need to read the qualifications. Right. There's no need because it's so easy.
Yeah.
So, of course, that makes it harder for someone like me, who's the whole HR department, and staffing is just one of my problems.
Right.
Makes it harder for me to, it's more steps now, where I actually have to be using the headhunter model.
Right.
To find people who might be a good fit here. It's either that or sit and wait for applicants to click apply who really are just job hopping.
Yeah.
Well,
with your entry-level employees specifically.
I'd say given the job, it's moderate. For an employer, like if you were to look at employers, just like a general figure, 100 employers, doesn't matter the category, the type of job, or whatever, I'd say a 25 to 30% turnover rate is high.
Okay.
But for those key positions, those entry-level staff positions, that's probably not extraordinarily bad. But I think, as far as how to analyze and solve that problem, in order to try to solve it, I have to take time to do some analysis. I have to understand better who these the employees that I hire are, as far as do they have any background with people with developmental disabilities? Why were they looking for the job? And then I have to analyze why they leave. Did they just fail at the job so they weren't a good fit, or did they find something else, or did they move? And I don't have a whole lot of time to spend on that analysis in order to find a way to solve the problem. Yes, but those are simple things like able to drive a client in your own vehicle, a good attendance record, history of good attendance in previous employment, which means you kind of had a job.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are preferred things like some education in sociology or psychology or social work, but that's not, of course, a requirement. Right. Things like having worked with or at least tutored or been exposed to some of the developmental disability. We have a monthly hire training date because there is a lot of training to become a trainer.
Obviously.
And I'd say every month we have 3 to 5 positions, and that's out of 80 positions total. And it's not because of growth, although we do grow and expand our programs a little bit, but it's mostly because people are leaving. Because it has an impact on the current staff. Mm-hmm. Not nearly as badly as similar organizations that do residential care or something like that. I mean, whenever they're working, have shifts around the clock. So at least we have a regular day shift.
Right.
But it still impacts the work of everyone else because now they're doing a schedule or they have an assignment that they didn't want to do or they didn't sign up for, or things have to operate a little bit faster because they're down a position. like in secure document destruction, there's
Right.
a certain
Yeah.
amount of paper that has to be processed.
Yeah.
And when you have 2 staff out of 4 missing because where there's openings,
Right.
it's a pretty
obviously
big
a problem.
impact.
So.
And what that means, what that turns into, is how people kind of show the effect of stress. A lot of times, is they actually somewhat discourage new hires in the first 2 weeks from, like they have that negative attitude. So
Right,
they're
because
transferring it on.
They've been working so
To
much.
the where, like, well, I don't really care what your name is because you're probably not
Not
going
gonna
to
make it.
you
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you can't be part of my group, or, we're not going to be friends. They're not included. It's making it
Right.
harder for new hires to be included. And probably the supervisors, too. Like, the supervisors get frustrated
Right.
to where I have to keep, go around and reminding everybody because I'm frustrated, too.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
okay, let's put on a good face for this new person because you need them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's try to, bring them on board and give them the attention they deserve and the training they deserve so, they want to stay here. It's kind of like a catch-22. Not that goes on a lot, but
Right.
in any
Yeah.
organization with
Absolutely.
general
It
labor
is.
positions with, that's the kind of